Welcome to The Explainer. So glad you're joining us today, because we're tackling one of the absolute most critical yet frequently misunderstood factors in determining whether you'll live a long, vibrant, and independent life after the age of 60. We're talking about blood pressure. It might just be a single vital sign, but understanding it truly holds the key to protecting your future. Today, we're going to break down the science, cut through all the confusion, and show you exactly how to master this silent but incredibly powerful force inside your body.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The silent killer revealed. 2. The new blood pressure rules. 3. How hypertension destroys organs. 4. Hidden causes doctors miss. 5. Proven lifestyle strategies. And 6. Taking back your health.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1. The silent killer revealed.
70%. Right now, nearly 70% of Americans over the age of 60 have high blood pressure. But here is the really alarming part. Of those people, more than 20% have absolutely no idea. There's no pain, no obvious symptoms. You're not going to get a warning light flashing that something's off. It earns that nickname, the silent killer, because it quietly damages your body for years before it ever triggers a visible, catastrophic health event.
To really wrap our heads around what's at stake here, I want you to think about what's happening inside your body right this second. Right now, as you're watching this explainer, your heart is actively pumping blood through about 60,000 miles of blood vessels. Seriously, think about that sheer mileage for a second. That is enough to wrap around the Earth more than twice. The pressure it takes to force blood through those tens of thousands of miles of arteries, well, that's exactly what we're talking about today.
Moving right along to Section 2, the new blood pressure rules.
So as we get older, our large, elastic arteries naturally start to stiffen up. They lose that easy ability to expand and contract, which, you guessed it, forces the heart to work a lot harder. Let's quickly demystify those two numbers you see on a reading, just so you know exactly what mechanical forces are at play. The top number, the systolic, measures the pressure inside your arteries the exact millisecond your heart beats and pumps blood outward. The bottom number, the diastolic, well, that measures the pressure in between those beats, while your heart is just resting and refilling.
So the crucial point here is how the medical community actually defines a safe pressure level. For decades, the old standard was 140/90. But based on some really landmark research, like the 2015 SPRINT trial, the American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology totally updated their guidelines back in 2017. The new threshold for high blood pressure? It's anything at or above 130/80. This is a game changer. It means millions of Americans over 60 who were previously told they were perfectly fine are actually hypertensive under these current rules. And tragically, a lot of them are getting no treatment at all.
Let's look at the fallout in Section 3, how hypertension destroys organs.
Let's start with one of the absolute most vulnerable targets, the brain. High blood pressure is literally the single most important modifiable risk factor for stroke. But it goes way beyond just sudden strokes. Chronic high pressure physically damages the brain's delicate structure over time. We're talking measurable brain shrinkage, damaged white matter connections, and a drastically accelerated rate of cognitive decline. All of this leads to much higher rates of vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease.
And then, of course, we have the heart itself. Now, you might think a heart working harder would just get stronger, right? Like a muscle at the gym. But it's actually a really destructive paradox. Pumping against stiff, high-pressure arteries causes the heart muscle to unnaturally thicken. This condition is called left ventricular hypertrophy. The thicker the muscle gets, the less efficient it becomes at pumping, which ultimately makes it incredibly vulnerable to heart failure down the road. The kidneys take a massive hit too. They rely on this incredibly delicate network of tiny blood vessels to filter out waste. Well, high blood pressure just destroys those vessels, and as your kidney function drops, it creates this terrifying cycle. Basically, the damaged kidneys become less able to regulate fluid and sodium, which, you guessed it, causes your blood pressure to spike even higher.
And the systemic damage really doesn't stop there. The tiny blood vessels in your eyes can be directly damaged, a condition called hypertensive retinopathy. In fact, a simple eye exam can often reveal systemic vessel damage throughout your entire body. On top of that, arterial damage heavily reduces blood flow, which significantly impairs sexual function and arousal for both men and women. It's a massive quality of life issue, but it's almost never discussed in standard doctor appointments.
That brings us to Section 4, hidden causes doctors miss.
While most cases are just standard primary hypertension, there are specific, highly treatable causes hiding right in plain sight. Take primary aldosteronism, for example. That's where your adrenal glands produce way too much of a specific hormone. It is dramatically underdiagnosed and actually drives up to 10% of cases. Then there's renal artery stenosis, which is a narrowing of the kidney arteries. Also, untreated sleep apnea is a huge driver. It elevates your stress hormones all night long. And please, don't forget medications. Common over-the-counter NSAIDs like ibuprofen, decongestants, and even certain supplements could be secretly sabotaging your blood pressure control every single day.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how we measure things. A single reading in a doctor's office is highly unreliable. Let's be real, nobody actually enjoys wearing those crinkly paper gowns. Up to 30% of older adults experience white coat hypertension, where just the anxiety of being at the doctor artificially spikes the reading. What's vastly superior is 24-hour ambulatory monitoring. This tracks your pressure continuously, even while you're sleeping. If your blood pressure fails to drop appropriately at night, a super dangerous pattern called non-dipping, your cardiovascular risk is significantly higher than daytime readings alone would ever suggest.
Okay, let's pivot to the good news. Section 5. Proven lifestyle strategies.
We absolutely have to start with sodium. Older adults are highly sodium sensitive, meaning that cutting back produces massive results. The recommended daily limit is 1,500 milligrams, but the average American intake, it's a whopping 3,400 milligrams. And here's the kicker. You can't just blame your salt shaker. The vast majority of that hidden salt is packed away in processed foods, deli meats, canned goods, and restaurant meals.
And this brilliantly illustrates the most powerful way to combat that sodium intake, the DASH diet. That stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. It emphasizes fruits, veggies, whole grains, and lean proteins, while strictly limiting sweets and red meat. And guys, it is incredibly powerful. Sticking to the DASH diet can drop your systolic pressure by up to 11 points. That literally rivals the effect of a full-blown prescription blood pressure medication, entirely through the power of food.
Let's rapid fire through a few other really effective non-pharmaceutical interventions. Just 30 minutes of daily aerobic exercise, like a brisk walk, drops your systolic pressure by 5 to 8 points. Modest weight loss, you're dropping roughly 1 point for every single kilogram lost. Getting enough potassium from foods like bananas and spinach, along with magnesium supplementation, directly counterbalances the negative effects of sodium. Even limiting alcohol and practicing mindfulness can produce measurable drops. Blood pressure is truly the most modifiable risk factor in all of medicine.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 6, Taking Back Your Health.
So, you've got the knowledge now, but how do you practically use the information from this explainer to aggressively advocate for your own health? It all comes down to asking your doctor the right questions.
Here's your highly actionable checklist to bring to your next appointment. Number 1, ask them explicitly, is my target set below the updated 130/80 guideline? Number 2, if your blood pressure is proving hard to control, request an evaluation for those hidden secondary causes, especially sleep apnea and primary aldosteronism. Number 3, ask them to show you the correct technique for home monitoring so you aren't just relying on a single, stressful office visit. And number 4, review literally every pill you take, including those over-the-counter pain relievers and supplements, just to ensure they aren't secretly working against you.
I want to leave you with this final thought. Your blood pressure number isn't just a number. It's a window into the health of every single organ in your body. Managing it after 60 isn't simply about taking a pill and forgetting about it. It's about guaranteeing your vitality and your independence for the next 20 or 30 years. You now have the tools, the lifestyle strategies, and the exact questions to ask your doctor. So the only question left is, what step are you going to take today to rewrite your health trajectory?